everyone, I'm Melissa McAllister, and you're listening to The Melissa Made Show. Now, for decades, I've dedicated myself to helping women break the cycle of dieting, navigate through all the fads, and change their lives through my nutrition coaching. Now, each week, I'm going to talk about everything from deep nutrition, mindset, self-care, the ideal workout routine, tips on how and why to implement intermittent fasting in your life, my favorite recipes that are not only crowd pleasers, but they're actually healthy for you, and so much more. Now, with small and consistent changes, you can defy aging while living a happier, healthier, and more heart-filled life. I'm so excited to show you it's possible with the right strategies that are so simple to adopt. Hello and welcome everybody to the Melissa Made Show. So I have a beautiful guest, and I was just telling her, I say this all the time, but there's just something about someone who just really takes care of themselves mentally and physically and has, eludes great confidence that you just instantly look at them. You're like, wow, they're so beautiful. So again, if you're just listening to the podcast, you have to just real quick go over to YouTube and watch this, or to go onto my Instagram, because I always make my reels with my guests and just see how pretty she is. But her name is Jennifer Blossom, and we're going to do a short interview today. Just to freaking fire you up. I know that she is going to just make you jump out of your seat as soon as you are done listening to this. Unless you're in a car, please don't jump out of your seat. Just get really excited, maybe do a little happy dance. And she's just going to really help you with mostly just your mentality of, where you are, where you want to go, and how to, create those habits and that lifestyle of going after what you want. So let me give her the little introduction first, so you have an idea of who she is, and then we're going to get right into it. So Dr. Jennifer is known for delivering short but powerful packed segments filled with motivation and inspiration on helping women discover their purpose, the love of life, and having impact, and leveraging the power of leadership from within. And you know what that could, for goodness sakes, that could be leadership in your family, how important that is. She's passionate about equipping audiences with the tools to think, feel, and live better. I'm so excited. Jennifer has spoken on a multitude of podcast shows, Fox News, the CW, and live events. She is committed to bringing action-packed segments to audience, including mine. So here she is today, and we get the opportunity to just hear her share with you some really powerful things. And Jennifer, I would love to start with me being in the health and fitness industry. And this morning particularly, I just had so many messages from women just struggling for, quote unquote, the discipline or the motivation or the willpower. They're just, all those three words just always kind of come at you at making positive changes in their life. And I would love to know, when you work with people and you speak with people, when you get those kind of questions too, how do you help them through that feeling like they've got nothing in them to go after what it is that they want?
Yeah, I love this question, Melissa. And thank you for having me, by the way, on your
welcome.
Such a treat to be here. So I love this question. And I think that you and I can relate so wholeheartedly with this. And in this realm of wanting to live better and do better and feel better, we can easily get caught in this trap of thinking that we're supposed to feel great all the time. And I think for us as very driven, high achieving entrepreneurs, and in this, health and wellness space, where we tend to be leading others as well, we can also come down on ourselves because we're not in the right, quote unquote, zone. And so my first step for any woman or man who is in this arena of, gosh, like I'm just lacking gumption and ambition and passion today, is to embrace the thought of neutrality. Like I don't have to feel great every single day. And that's just part of the human experience. And so right there, we take that pressure off of ourselves, this perfectionist pressure to have to feel good all the time. And if we can come to a space of neutrality of saying, yeah, I don't feel great, but I'm going to show up and do it anyways, because I'm in this space of focused discipline. And I know that I don't have to cave into immediate gratification of not doing what I know is best for me, but I can stay focused on where I know I want to go. That is the key. So taking that pressure off of yourself, coming into the state of neutrality and taking action even when you don't feel like it.
I love that. And it's funny. I think it was yesterday morning. My good friend Shanti had made a reel. He had just walked out of his therapist appointment, and you could tell he was just on a high talking to his therapist. And he's in his car, and he's like, "You know, what the therapist said today," and I'll misquote it, but pretty much saying exactly what you're saying is it's okay to have a bad day.
Yes.
It's part of the human experience to have a bad day. So for you to have a bad day and think there's something wrong with you, or you're not, equipped to be, something great is preposterous.
Totally. Especially like you said, like for Shanti, for us in this space where we are called to lead others and we hold ourselves to these really high standards.
Mhm.
And like, yes, like we have this passion inside of us to lead others, but we have to first lead ourselves. And when we lead ourselves, we have to understand that we're not going to feel great every day. And that doesn't mean that anything is wrong with us. Like we said, like it's part of being human. And so when those days come, and they come for me, I know they come for you, like coming to a place of neutrality and giving yourself the permission to show up and to do it anyways, or to come to a place of having that self-awareness where you're like, you know what, like I actually need this today, and having that discernment of knowing what you need instead of just grinding it out. If it's not in alignment, that is where your true power comes from.
Yeah, and I love that. And so I'm sure everybody's like, yes, I do have bad days, and I still think I can be, great at what I do. Can you share with the audience, habits, or, just day to days, what will help you reach peak performance? Anything that you can share that just maybe somebody is missing in, wanting to be the best that they can, but maybe they don't have a schedule. Or I would just love to hear what you think, what almost like a day in the life of a high achiever or someone who's looking for peak performance, the kind of habits or things that they do to really make that happen, even on the days that they're just not feeling 100%.
Totally. So this is where that discernment and self-awareness comes into play, because I think as high achievers, we can easily fall into the route of achieving more, wanting more, doing more, but that more is never enough. And so understanding first and foremost that you are worthy and good and just all that you can be right now, just as you are where you're going to hit your goals, right? Like nothing changes with you and your worthiness on like when you're there. It's all about the journey. And so first and foremost, like understanding that, and then understanding that it is not about slapping on more habits or affirmations or the perfect morning routine. Like those are all great and good and necessary, but we have to do that internal work first. And so when we talk about peak performance and leadership, like it sounds very CEO-ish and elite-ish and
Yeah.
I don't know, like all of these like fancy words, but it's like, let's just actually break this down and make them normal for regular people like me and you. And so when we think about leadership, we want to lead ourselves first. We talk about peak performance. That is not just for the, the LeBrons, the NBA athletes. This is like peak performance in your own life, showing up with aligned attention and action every single day. And so what if we could push away all of these like self-imposed pressures and deadlines and all of these things we have for ourselves and get super clear every single morning with how we're feeling, with what's going on in our own brain. And we think about how we're feeling, that can sound very like, okay, like woo-woo and like whatever, like too sciencey. But like, honestly, like if you start each and every morning with getting into your thoughts and getting all of your thoughts out of your head and onto paper and just looking at them. If we just keep all of our thoughts in our head, they almost become this jumbled soup. And then we get stuck in that cycle of thinking and overthinking and doing and procrastination. And it's just this repetitive cycle that can affect our thought process and our daily performance and what we need and how we want to show up. And so every single morning, instead of just coming into the day, just wanting more, doing more, achieving more, that's great. But take that space for yourself to stop, to do that thought download, to think about, okay, hey, what thoughts right now are swirling around in my head? Where am I stuck? Where am I, having troubles thinking? Where am I feeling great at? And just getting very, very clear with where you're at mentally and emotionally. And from there, we can take the action forward of what we need to do today to get ourselves in alignment. And I think we can get so stuck in our own head that we don't know what that next best step is. So we just go through our days taking action, but it's jumbled and we feel disconnected internally.
I love that. It's kind of almost that I can't, man, I read that book. Could it be almost 20 years ago? Maybe the Eat the Frog. I think Brian Tracy.
Oh yeah. Eat that frog.
Yeah, where you've got that to not give yourself a list of 10 things today, and then you feel like a failure because you didn't do all 10 things. But if you have that one thing that you really want to, get done, and you put it on the top of the list and you do it as soon as you can, then you're going to feel successful throughout the rest of the day, and that's going to change your mood for the rest of the day. And you talking about this thought download, I love that. I've recently started walking early in the morning. I start my walk usually between 6:30 and 7:30 in the morning. Number one, because it's hot as hell here in Texas. It's still 80 something degrees at that time, but
oh man.
I can't tell you and the audience how much I'm enjoying that. Now I'm a little bit nervous when it gets to winter time because I'm a wimp when it's cold, but I am with my thoughts in that time. I'm getting that morning sunlight and I am in my thoughts, and I get to kind of reflect on how I did yesterday, and then get ready for that day to day, like you say, because knowing, I look at my schedule and I see what I have to do. And then there's things that I want to do, and I fit those wants in with what I have to do. And my mantra at the end of every podcast is to wake up prepared and go to bed feeling proud, and is exactly what you're saying to do, is I just think that thought download is so powerful. And too many of us don't do that.
100%. And I think a really great guiding question to ask ourselves is, who do I want to show up as today? And when we can take that question to heart and even go a little bit deeper in that layer of, how did I do yesterday? Who did I show up as yesterday? And how can I be 1% better today? It is such a profound question for really guiding us through, like, who you need to be, how you can grow into that next version of yourself today, not 10 years on the road, but today. And really stepping into that. And then to what you were saying, Melissa, too, about looking at that list, I think that book, right? That's like all like our first books of like Brian Tracy when we first started this journey.
Better John Maxwell.
Right. I know, gosh, how old are we? But one of the things and like practices that have really shaped my own life and helped with that peak performance that I think will be really helpful for your audience too. And it's probably not a new term, but this practice can be really helpful in moving that dial forward. So when we look as entrepreneurs, the things we are creating, those projects can feel very daunting and overwhelming. So one practice that has been really helpful in showing up with your peak performance daily is on Sunday night or Monday morning, when you have those big projects on plan for your week, learning how to reverse engineer those projects. Was everyone's like, yeah, duh, like we know that, but taking it one step further into reverse engineering those parts and scheduling them into your calendar. So, every single day when you're doing that next step. And then the key is that when it comes up on your calendar, unless there's some like calendar event where you can't do it, you show up and you take the action and you do it anyways. And you do it when you don't feel like it. I know for me, like even the past 2 years, I would have my plan for the day, my weeks. And then when the actual time came to doing the task, I was like, I'll do it later this week. And then Friday would come and I'd have all of these things to do. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so my work was rushed, the quality wasn't great, and all these things. The key is when you have those big projects or whatever you're working towards, you reverse engineer them, you schedule them into your calendar, and you show up and you do them, and you build that trust and rapport and confidence with yourself, even when you don't feel like doing it. And that in itself is going to really move the dial forward for so many of the listeners today.
Have you tried countless diets, but you're still seeking your nutrition sweet spot? Are you trying to get results on your health journey to feel your best without being too restrictive? Now, I know how you feel. I've done the diet thing, but there never was that one that totally worked for me. And this is exactly why I developed the MAID diet. Now, I found that rather than restrictions, it's best to have a set of guidelines that allow you to customize based on your preferences and bio-individuality while staying on track with your health and fitness goals. I found the nutrition sweet spot. And as a health and nutrition expert, I get asked all the time what, when, and how I eat. And as someone who's passionate about education and helping others, I want to share that with you. Now, the Made Diet ebook lays it all out for you, taking the guesswork out of dieting. The Made Diet is a lifestyle plan that incorporates moderate protein, adequate fat, decreased carbs, and an introduction to intermittent fasting. The ebook gets right down to business by answering your most frequently asked questions. It includes thoughtfully designed recipes and a 7-day sample meal plan to start you off right. It will honestly kickstart your weight loss journey and have you losing inches in your very first week. Now, intermittent fasting combined with these nutritional guidelines is honestly the piece that so many people have been missing when trying to get results. This ebook has all the information you need in a format that is condensed and to the point so that you can get to your results. If you're ready to get started, the Made Diet ebook is available immediately on my website for just $9.99. So head over to melissamadeonline.com/made diet to take action towards feeling your best today. And once you do, oh my gosh, please let me know it's working for you. I am so honored to be a part of your health journey. Okay, back to the show. Yeah, and I love that because I've been talking on my stories to my audience about making a commitment to myself.
Yes.
I don't know where that came from. I don't know if it's DNA. I don't know if it's the way I was raised. But I have this ridiculous obligation. When I make a commitment to myself, I keep it. I know most times you'll hear people say, if you need to make that commitment to somebody else until you can make it to yourself, because pleasing other people sometimes is more important or easier, holds you to that commitment more than doing it for yourself. But I just have this, I have a great mom. I'll say that. She's a wonderful mom. So maybe she had something to do with that. But when I make a stinking commitment to myself, I will stick to it. And I think, maybe if we really start to value that, our word to ourselves, it really helps you do what you just said, which is, knowing you've got a big project. If you make those smaller commitments, and even when you don't feel like doing it, you tell yourself, this is what I promised myself I would do. Even if I don't feel 100% to do it, it's going to get me to where I want to go. And it is that delayed gratification, which is so stinking important for reaching any goal, is not looking for how it's going to make you feel today, but how it's going to make you feel next week, next month, next year.
Yes. I love that. I love that about you. And I love that you're able to share that. And I think that what you said, Melissa, building that confidence and that trust and that rapport and that faith within yourself, that is how we create that momentum and build that belief within. I think what's it called? It's like the cute quit or the quick quits, where it's like we break our trust with ourselves, where in the moment it doesn't seem like a big deal, but we just kind of push that task off. But then that task becomes this task and the next task. And all of a sudden we don't have that self-trust and that self-belief, and that compounds. And so it's looking at, well, both take mental energy. So which route do you want to intentionally choose? And then, like you said, Melissa, it's like, let's trade that immediate gratification for that long-term result. And that in itself is huge.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. And I've always been good at delayed gratification. It's one of my few superpowers. But it's
have many.
Oh, well, thank you. It's not rainbows and butterflies and all that stuff all the time. So is there any advice or any tips that you can share with the audience? Because I do mentor people who get in quite a rut, and it's not, I don't feel good today. This could carry on for a week or for a couple of weeks, and they kind of really feel in a funk. And, when you get in that funk, all of those commitments and those things you wanted to accomplish start to compile. And if anything, as this, this funk goes on, you get into a worse funk. It doesn't just naturally kind of fade away. It gets worse because you've got the pressure of all the things that you're not doing while you're in this funk, and any ways to help people get out of that.
Yes. Okay. This is so good. And I think, like, if we can, I don't even know why I always use an onion. I'm like, onions are so ugly. Like, okay, whatever. But if we think about an onion, and I'm like, is there a better food than an onion? But the onion layers are so good. Okay. So let's use an onion. So we have an onion, and when we are in a funk, it is all about pulling back the layers and getting to that root. I think especially in the era of social media, people are so quick to want to put on a habit or a quick whatever, like Pinterest checklist or this and that. But we have to get to the root of the funk, and understanding at the very root of it is a thought or a multitude of thoughts that are eliciting some kind of emotion. And from that is a belief. And from that is a story. And the root cause like expands outwards. And so getting down to the very root of it, of like, what is the thought that is causing me to be in this funk? Getting your pen and paper out and really doing the internal hard work. It's not hard. It's not fun. It doesn't feel good, but that's how we heal from the inside. So it's figuring out, what is the thought that's causing me to feel this way? Or maybe it's multiple thoughts. Maybe you figure out one thought and it leads to a bunch of different thoughts. So it's getting all that out on paper, figuring out why you're feeling the way you're feeling, doing that internal work, having a guide or a mentor, someone like you, Melissa, in their life to help them do that work. And then let's slowly try on what's called like a thought ladder. So instead of making this huge jump of, I feel strong and fit and healthy and super sexy, maybe they don't. So maybe that next little thought, that next little step is, today, I feel strong and I'm going to do whatever, follow up with an action step. So I'm going to do a 20-minute workout and I am strong. And so it's making those little thought shifts and little action steps that we can believe in and take action in and build that trust and confidence with ourselves and slowly climb up that ladder. So it's the thought, it's the belief, and then it's followed by the next right action step that isn't this audacious, crazy thing. It's not like a 30-mile run and a green smoothie and a protein bar and grilled chicken and broccoli all week. Like, it's the next freaking step. And so from there, we do that work every single day. And over time, we start to walk up that ladder. So it's the onion and the ladder.
Yeah, I love that. And I can't remember who, I can't give credit to who this was. I listen to a lot of people. My husband's out of town. And so when he's out of town, instead of playing, because he hates silence, he plays music. I play TED Talks, I play YouTube videos, I play podcasts. When I walk, I mean, I'm surprised.
Yes,
Yeah, this isn't too full, but someone said, and I thought it was so powerful the other day, that if you keep telling yourself there's something that you want, like you're motivated to lose weight, just the first thing that pops in my head, but yet you keep kind of sabotaging that effort, you have to sit down and you have to ask yourself, what is it that I'm doing, or what is it that I want now that's keeping me from hitting that goal? And it's sometimes, as simple as that sounds, we don't sit down and go, well, I am enjoying, this is a terrible example, but it's the only thing I can think of. I'm enjoying eating right now because I'm incredibly stressed, and eating is the only thing that calms me down and makes me feel like I'm doing something for myself. It's something I enjoy. And so you have to really just sit down with yourself and have that personal conversation. Why am I sabotaging the effort that I want? What am I doing that you may not even realize? And why? And it's so good to understand that. And don't be hard on yourself for figuring it out. That's a wonderful first step to being able to be like, now I understand what my obstacle is. And now I can work on that obstacle so that I can get to the goal that I really do want, but something's holding me back.
Exactly. And when we break that down and boil it down, a lot of our own like self-sabotaging habits are just us like trying to buffer with something. And so for eating too, it's like, I'm trying to lose all this weight, but I'm stressed, so I'm going to eat. Like, that makes sense, right? So we have to figure out, like you said, like, what is that thought holding us back, that belief, that story that we're telling ourselves? What habits am I quickly grabbing onto to feel better in the interim time? And how can we work to get to that root and build out those healthy thoughts, those healthy steps, those healthy habits?
Yeah, 100%. And it could be changing your environment. It could be doing what you said at the very beginning of this and actually writing down every day, things you want to get done, how you're feeling for that day. I mean, even as a nutritionist, I do that. I have people do, what's called food, mood, and poop journals.
Oh, I love this.
Because I want to know what foods they're eating, but I also want to know how you feel when you're eating these foods. And then I also want to know how your body's reacting to these foods. So your thoughts are absolutely no different whatsoever. Your mental health, as much as your physical health, by journaling and doing what you said in the beginning, so that you can get to the point of being a peak performer and leading others in the way that you want to.
Yes. I love that. Totally. And I think just the cherry on top today, like how you started, how I think we should close today is leadership. It starts from within. And like you said, Melissa, it can be at home. It can be, within your environment. It can be on the basketball court or in the courtroom or in whatever, like corporate. It doesn't matter, but all that to say, like leadership starts within us first. And when we can learn to not place the blame on anybody else, but take complete ownership and responsibility of our lives, where we're at right now, that is harnessing the power of leadership from within. And from there, we have that positive, powerful ripple effect outwards on our kids, on our spouses, on our workplace, our colleagues, our community. And it starts from that leadership from within.
That's funny. I felt like you were describing me there, and that might sound a little bit arrogant, but I've built a very successful business, and I've built a very big brand by 100% starting with taking responsibility for myself, for my physical health, my mental health, my relationships. Everything is 100% on my lap. And I do notice that anybody that is very successful in both their physical and their business life and their relationships really work on themselves the most and first. So I think that's a very incredibly powerful message. If you wake up every single day feeling prepared and that you are in control of what you can control, and what you can control, put the effort into it and do your best, you'll see just huge life changes because of that.
Yes. So good. Okay. I got to leave your audience with a book today, because this reminds me like what you were saying. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just started it. And it's definitely like for the High Achiever's Guide to Happiness, Confidence, and Success, The Gap and the Gain by Dan Sullivan. Have you read it?
I haven't.
Oh, it's so good. I just started it on Audible.
Okay.
And it talks about kind of like, well, I'm just still on chapter 1, but anyways, the opening credits talks about kind of like the pitfalls and the dangers that high achieving people can fall into. And it just really struck a chord with me, because I think we have this pressure of, trying to do it all and trying to make all this greatness, which is awesome. But a lot of times we can neglect our own mental and emotional well-being along the way. And so this book is like, you guys add it to your next playlist or read it, because it's so good. It talks about, the gap and the gain.
Yeah,
So
I love that. Thank you so much. We'll put that in the show notes. So Dr. Jennifer, can you share with people where they can find you? Because I know they've just fallen in love with you and need a dose of you every single day. Where are some places that they can find you at?
Well, thank you again, Melissa, for having me. It was such a treat to be here and just for this space with you, and your work is amazing. So thank you for just all that you do. It's just wonderful. And for your audience, our podcast, the Dr. Jennifer Blossom Show, on Instagram, Dr. Jennifer Blossom, and then drjenniferblossom.com.
Yay, that's easy. Good for you.
Right?
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on. I am literally, you just give energy. I don't know how else to put it. You are an energy giver. And I am just stoked to now head to my daughter's house to help her. She had surgery yesterday. So now I get to help her go potty.
Yes. Oh.
So I needed that. So thank you so much. And everybody, as always, please check out Dr. Jennifer. She's cute as all get out, like I said, but just so full of knowledge and energy. And I think you're going to, if you get a daily dose of her, you're going to become a peak performer, like she said. And as always, I want you to wake up feeling prepared, and I want you to go to bed feeling proud. Have a great day. Wow, we've reached the end. But before I leave you, I'd love to hear from you. After all, it's not every day that someone reaches out and asks for your opinion. And to me, your opinion does matter. So please share this episode with anyone that you think needs to hear this message. And remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. My name is Melissa McAllister. And until next time, thank you for being your own health advocate.